Our Holocaust, written by Amir Gutfreund, centers around Amir and Effie, who were raised by Holocaust survivor parents within a community of survivors. Most were not blood relatives but were nonetheless known as grandpa, grandma, aunt, and uncle, a post-Holocaust family phenomenon Gutfreund refers to as the law of compression. From an early age, Amir and Effie had a deep interest and keenness to know more about the Shoah, the Hebrew term for destruction, and the preferred term to describe the Holocaust by Jews. The Shoah was an ever-present entity they actually knew nothing about because they were deemed not old enough. But it was present every day in their mother's fear of ants and their parents' refusal to ever throw away leftovers, even soured milk. As time passed, Amir and Effie pursued their own lives. Amir was married with a son of his own when one of his collected grandfathers had a stroke. Suddenly he was old enough, and the stories poured in from every direction, refueling his desire to know more about the Shoah. Gutfreund's book is characterized as fiction, but is in fact part autobiography. In the afterword, Gutfreund explains which sections are which. Particularly unsettling here are the statistics scattered throughout that concern Nazis who got away with horrific crimes. Born in Israel, Gutfreund's work, as he pains to stress, is not an autobiography, but it is not precisely not an autobiography either. In focusing on the story of how the Shoah resonated among Israelis in the decades after the war through the stories told by its survivors and the way survivors had to recreate their own lives after one of the most horrific periods of history, Our Holocaust takes on an autobiographical approach and relays the testimonies of survivors, much like the Holocaust Exhibition and Learning Center, which features the real stories of several survivors of the Holocaust and Nazi occupation. Amongst them is Val Ginsberg, who was born in Lithuania. When the Nazis gained control of the country, he and his family were forced into Kaunas ghetto, where starvation, arrests, and execution were commonplace. Like the relatives of Amir and Effie, for example their mother who woke up under the body of her deceased mother who had been protecting her from gunfire, Val witnessed traumatic events which made a lifelong impact on him. The big action in October 1941 saw almost 10,000 people taken away and shot by the Nazis and their Lithuanian collaborators. Then in the spring of 1944, the Children's Action took place, when the ghetto children were forcibly taken away and murdered. Val admitted to losing his faith in humanity, as many of those who were participating in the murder were Lithuanian civilians whom until recently had been their neighbors. Eventually he was taken to Dachau concentration camp until it was liberated in 1945. In summary, I would rate this book a 9 out of 10. Translated from its original Hebrew, Gutfreund does a commendable job of individualizing each testimony of the Shoah. Our Holocaust is the Holocaust of the survivors who populate his story and make up Amir and Effie's family. It's the Holocaust of Amir and Effie who desperately wish to retain some sort of connection and understanding with their relatives about this period of time, and it's the Holocaust that human beings can suffer or perpetuate under circumstances beyond and within their control.